Hey guys, Ed Wilson for President, Paradise Earth Initiative Systems. All right, let's get into this history just a little bit. We're going to get into some conflicts of interest and things like that. But first, we're going to go into some history. We're going to go back to 1700s there just for a little bit over in England. Yes, we're going to go to England for a little bit, guys. Okay, here's what happened over to England, guys. So, you got to keep in mind, I'm going to set the stage for you again here, because you have to realize back in those days, wasn't a whole lot going on, guys. If a birthday party was happening, a church function, somebody had a moonshine still, stuff like that, there wasn't much going on, okay? Sunday church was looked forward to. Anyway, so, first lodge started in England there. The first one in England, okay? At least the first powerful one. And that was in 1715. And I know Google says 1717, but you know, piss on Google. It was 1715. By 1750, the Freemasons were a really big thing. Keep in mind, guys, there wasn't much else going on. And it seemed like a pretty good outfit, I'm sure, at the time, considering there wasn't anything else going on. Your alternatives were very slim. But I digress there. So by 1750, they had basically control of the English government. That's what it's all about, guys. And they get a lot of these guys in their club. These guys don't know really what they're a part of. They just know they were having fun. They see a lot of their comrades and friends there, their fathers, uncles and things, and they just think that's the thing to do. Not knowing the roots of it, where, you know, ancient slavery and things like that were taking place, and Freemasons were behind all of that. Nothing free about those shit nuggets. Anyway, so England was set up, and the Freemasons were instigating the breakaway. Now, let's go ahead and segue up to 1776, when the breakaway from England took place with the colonies. England did not know that its government was overthrown and usurped. They had no idea. The colonists had no idea. We were taught in school that we broke away because of taxation without representation, which made it look like, you know, we didn't have good reason. But that's not necessarily true, even though there is a little truth aspect to it. The real reason was the Freemasons were trying to make it legal to breed with their slaves. Okay? The colonies wanted no parts of that. Yeah, guys. And the colonists didn't know that England was overthrown. Therefore, when they broke away from England, they were already infiltrated by the Freemasons. Therefore, independence never happened. So the 250 years we just celebrated obviously must be for not America, because technically America was sabotaged at its start. But these guys couldn't come out of their closets in the beginning. And so they've been testing the waters ever since, seeing how far they could push, seeing what they could do. Twisting laws, twisting books, doing this, doing that, rigging the educational system. Where do you think all that Common Core and stuff came from? Remember, guys, we actually had a pretty good educational system at one time. But little did the people know they were infiltrated and being sabotaged secretly behind their backs. And every aspect of society, church, you know, the religious systems, everything was infiltrated by these groups and tainted. That's why we can't count on any of these Bibles. So when you go regurgitating something you just read, I have discernment and I can perceive what you're doing, and I know that it's a black magic spell. I can even go. I've actually done videos on that already, but I'll do it again in a little bit. So the colonies never got independence. Who got independence, guys? Looks to me like Freemason Israel did. That's what it looks like to me. Remember, Israel isn't real, guys. It's fake. It was made up in 1948. And our monetary system was also overthrown, in 1911. Once again, same conglomerates, international Freemasonry. Now, let's touch on that a bit. International Freemasonry. That is a conflict of interest to any free people, any free society, or any society, actually, or race nation. Okay? Yes, the definitions on some of that were changed too, guys. Okay? So you better learn root words and what the root definitions were. Kind of like the Godspell, the Gospels. Okay? That's why, King James, when you look into who King James was, you find out real quick, not only was he a Freemason and killed his mom to stay in power, but he was also a pervert. Big old pervert. And, speaking of perverts, I was calling you guys a bunch of perverts. And shall I expound on that one a little bit? Grand Lodge of England makes decree to all Freemasons. If a man joins as a man, he must be accepted by all of the other members. So, first off, Grand Lodge of England, which was overthrown, having anything to do with the United States, is a conflict of interest. The Bar Association alone, conflict of interest. Therefore, it's all terrorism. Okay? By definition, it's terrorism. Oh, that's right. Let's talk about the plagues in your book of Revelations, your shit book, your manifesto. Okay? It's got a manifesto of terror. Hence, guys, they also tell you that there will be a crowd gathered of all nations, international Freemasons. Okay? Minions to the slave culture, guys. Because guess what? They don't want you thinking independently. That's why they've been poisoning your food. They've been poisoning your water. That's why they pulled COVID off on you. That's why the United States has been on a steady downhill trajectory for a very long time. Actually, since independence. So, let's go a little deeper here. COVID. Who was behind that? Juicy Juice Box. Okay? Once you understand Israel Freemasonry, you realize that basically they own you guys now, because they're the fake Hebrew Israelites. And they've already admitted they're not even white. Most of them. And once again, there's another aspect that's international. I was noticing over there in Israel what was going on. And I was picking up on it. Once again, we're in a war with Iran. Guess what the connection is there? Iran's not into Freemasonry. That's right, guys. So they're overthrowing every country and nation that basically won't go along with their plan. Okay? So, let me see here. I'm jumping all over because, once again, I got to touch on all this stuff because I know that you guys don't know anything. So, who's behind Monsanto's? Who's behind Bayer? Who's behind every single terrorism in the world right now? 100% going back to slavery. And now, I'm gonna get better with this because I'm gonna have some fun with this. Okay. This also means, since independence didn't happen, that also means that every single war that the United States was in and that the colonies were in was engineered and arranged by, guess who? That's right, the queerbaits. Okay. Now, who was Epstein? Who was P. Diddy? Who was all those guys? Who are they, guys? Who are they? Freemasonry. Who's Hollywood? One eye, when they covered their eye up, the One Eye Club there, the Black Eye Club, the Red Shoe Club, Bohemian Grove. Once again, all international Freemasonry. 9/11, guys. Who did 9/11? Who did 9/11? Skull and Bones Bushy did. His entire cabinet was Skull and Bones. Now think about that for a minute. I heard the president talking about MS-13 and all these other gangs, and it wasn't going to be tolerated, and blah, 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 blah. Well, think about it. You got the Skull and Bones going out there, did all that terrorism, sent a missile into the Pentagon exactly where those trillions of dollars of information would have been. They pulled COVID off on you. They got vaccine companies building vaccines all over the place, different types. It's called directed evolution. It's also called gain of function. Remember that Fauci guy? I was going to say the United States funded that. Yes, to set China up. It did take place in a Wuhan lab. But once again, the United States was behind it and funded it. But remember, guys, there is no United States. There's only the Freemason occupation. So, once again, who's diddling all the little boys in the churches? You guys. You guys, okay? Who is Epstein? What connections does he have to you guys? All right? So, the chemicals that are being sprayed on the fields, who's behind that? You guys. All right, let me see here. Let's get back to those transgenders again. You know, because some people are trying to make it look like this is all natural, okay? So remember, it's not natural, guys. There are a couple of chemicals that can do this, quite a few actually. Atrazine is one of them. And it's funny, Alex Jones blew the whistle on that one. And I used to call Alex Jones out on that. As far as not about the atrazine, but about why won't you call the deep state by its Freemason name? Come to find out, Alex Jones has got a whole bunch of family that are Freemasons. So, he doesn't want to call his family out, now does he? He doesn't want to do that, you know what I mean? But, you know what? I'm sure I got some in my family too. But once again, if they knew what I knew today, I'm sure they would have easily got away from it. And as we talk about this here, who's behind our education system right now that's connected to Epstein and Israel Freemasonry? Who is it? Oh, Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, her father. Okay? You wonder why your kids are dumbed down? You wonder why the prisons and racial tension won't get better? Because that's why they have a black and white checkerboard, guys. I grew up in front of a black Freemason lodge. That's right, I did. And you know what I learned? Okay, as a little child, very hard to learn. I didn't understand what I was learning at the time, though. It actually took a few years for it to sink in after I started learning about subliminals, mind manipulation, and things that, things that were being done to us that we weren't aware of through entertainment, because entertainment was weaponized too. One of the first forms of the weaponized entertainment was back on Broadway. It was before that, but that was one of the most notable ones, because afterwards, when they did West Side Story, overnight, basically, gang activity started to break out everywhere. You know, I'm not saying there wasn't a few gangs, but nothing like after that, because they glorified it. They have a tendency to do that. And remember, God hateth anyone who maketh a lie. So I'm quite aware of what I'm saying, okay? I know what you were trying to do there with your little queer comment, but I just thought I'd bring it right back to you, full circle, okay? Because I know what you guys are, all right? I know more than you know, all right? And I know that you've been holding mankind back for a long time because you missed those good old days when you could go out there and rape and pillage people, okay? And you're doing it now. I mean, what is the Epstein thing about? You know, the Lolita Express, what were they doing over there on that island? Okay? We also know that a lot of the tech giants were propped up by the United States government, because as you were seeing certain technologies come about, you guys were seizing the opportunity to weaponize it. Every time somebody would come out with something great, even HARP, that was up in Alaska, the original inventor of it ended up getting booted off his own project because he started to realize you guys were weaponizing everything. Okay? Weaponize the weather. Yes, all those hurricanes, everything's... Come on, guys. I'm talking about your book of Revelations right now. I'm taking a piss on your book of Revelations. I mean, I am leaking all over it, okay? And then, you know what? I'm going to take a fat, healthy dump on it, too. So I'm not quite done yet, all right? So, if you look at what they've been doing to the children, once again, by flooding our country with alcohol, drugs, and things of that nature, they were taking advantage of the people that just didn't know any better. These people, once again, were oppressed, depressed. They were had families that, you know, some of them were bad. And so they ran to the substances. Okay, and you guys made sure the substances were available. kind of like the pharmaceutical industry there, the pharmakia, okay, where you were stringing everybody out on pills. Because once again, if you keep these people drugged up, they'll never figure out what's going on. Same stuff that used to go on in China, I was going to say, with the opium dens and other places in the world, okay? What happened to the American Indians, okay? And I even know the history before that, you know, and once again, that ties into, you know, with the land bridges and things back then, okay? And when we were slaves, okay? And you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking. And if you don't, it just means you're dumb. Because once again, you're either a York or a Scottish Rite. Once again, that's a Moorish Rite. They own your rights, okay? And I grew up in front of a Black Mason lodge, and I heard them say out of their own mouths. Once again, I was just over there getting entertained. I heard all this hoopla going on, and I just rode my bike over there. I was listening. I thought I was going to get to see a fight or something. And I overheard them say straight out, I was going to say, you've got to screw those little white girls while they're little, because if you're breeding with them, they're not breeding with a white person. Okay, now that's that aspect of it. Okay, then you learn about the Boulets, you learn about all of the other aspects, you learn about certain founding fathers who were actually mulattoes, and once again, when you find out that these slave systems are behind a lot of this, you start to realize that there's also a hierarchy. Oh, wasn't there a little girl that also did a genealogy of all the presidents? They're all related, you know, including Obama. Everybody's like, oh, he's black. Doesn't mean a thing. Doesn't mean a thing. You guys are under Moorish rights, all right? All you guys. I was going to say, and there's some of you who don't like it, I'm sure, you know, but, and you know, once again, they want to have their own little whatever. I don't even care. I actually do care. I care quite a bit, but I don't care about what you all think, okay? Because I've met so many of you, I've worked with so many of you, and was asking questions the whole time. And I found out you all don't know shit. You don't know shit about shit, okay? And you're really pretty terrorist in your nature. So I was going to say, and yeah, I should be a little worried, I guess. You know, ooh, they're going to kill me. But worst case scenario, I mean, I didn't learn this on my own, guys. That's the thing. I didn't learn this on my own, okay? And I even told you the backstory in one of my videos of how I learned this, okay? I did ask to learn some of this, okay? And I prayed to learn what was going on. I kept hearing the old timers saying this world's going to hell in a handbasket. And I started to realize this isn't natural. This was engineered, okay? So here I am 17 minutes in, you know, and I'm telling you basically everything. And all of the secret knowledges that you guys had, not only did you keep it from mankind for as long as you possibly could, but you only gave it to certain adepts. What happened to those other nations that you were going in and sending your masons in to build? Well, that was sabotage too. And you were setting up each side of every war. Oh, that's where I wanted to go. I wanted to go to the wars. Okay, that means that every single war since 1776 was somehow instigated and arranged by, guess who? So, then you look into Islam. Guess who? Guess who's behind all the child charities to where the kids can't cry out that their families are desperate in need of help and run to them when we have cures for cancer now? Yeah, I know how to cure cancer. So you can go beat off in a corner, okay? But yet, who's connected to that? Oh, Shriners. Look at the symbology all around those guys. Look at those red fez caps. Look at everything that's been going on. Yeah, that's right, guys. And, yeah, a lot of evil there. A ton of evil there. More evil than one can put in one video, actually, because this actually predates everything I was just talking about. I mean, this is ancient and accepted terrorism. But let's go back to that book of Revelations again. They talk about how you will have plagues come out of her, my children, so you do not suffer of her plagues. And they're going to the angels are going to empty out these vials. And then you've got the, it's all terrorism. It's all terrorism, guys. That's all it is. It's a scripted manifesto of terrorism. And you pull the wool over the world. And now, once again, let's get into that weather thing again. Like every single hurricane was basically engineered by the weather modification that's taking place behind these satanic groups. Every church in the country is off and false. Why? Because of you. So, once again, and what's it say about if you hurt any of these children, it would be better for you if you've not been born or had a millstone tied around your neck. Okay? All right? That's you. Okay? See, unlike you poking something out on here, I got the balls to come up here and show my face. All right, queer bait? I'm usually not mean to people. And I don't feel like I'm really being mean now. I just feel like I'm kind of like just using the truth like salt and putting it in your eyes, okay? Trying to remove that splint that's in there, you know? Because in order to remove yours, I got to remove mine first, okay? So I'm quite educated on the Bible. I understand the parables and why parables were used in those times. I also understand other things that you guys were keeping hidden from a lot of people. So, I hope this helps you. Because, guess what? I got a shirt on. Were you getting attracted when you saw my skin this morning when I got up out of bed and I hadn't put a shirt on yet? Were you getting attracted or something? Because it wouldn't surprise me if you were. You know? But I'm not a little boy. Okay? Or a little girl. Alright, perv? Yeah, let's get into that for a moment. Who's behind the child trafficking? Who's behind the child trafficking there, queer bait? Huh? Direct connections to Israel Freemasonry. Yes. Epstein, Hollywood. Come on, we know about all of it. Adrenochrome, Frazzle Drip, Pizzagate. How about those bombings, guys? Who's behind that? Now, personally, are you behind it? Yes. Because you pay dues into it. You also pay taxes to it. You do charity work for it to boost yourself up there and look like you're doing something. Maybe even a little philanthropy with other people's money. Once again, job market's rigged. I know it for a fact. Oh, let me correct that. I know it for a truth, because truth is superior to facts. You probably don't know that. You probably think a fact means truth. Don't you? Don't you? Well, it doesn't. Okay? Truth is truth. Facts can be socially accepted and have absolutely nothing to do with the truth at all. It can be a totally made up thing that basically a community just believed. Okay? Because they were taught it through word of mouth or whatever. So, basically we've touched on the religions. We've touched on education. We've touched on the medical system, which is rigged, as once again, you know. What else do we have left here? Farming, we touched on that. The weather, we touched on that. Let's go up, let's segue up a little bit here. You know, I mentioned Iran and the war that's going on, the destabilization of the Middle East, because you all were getting caught trafficking here. So what better than to go start some wars in some other countries so that basically you can adrenochrome them and do things to their children. What happened in Afghanistan, guys? Oh, okay, yeah. Do I need to go on? And why don't you just go slice your wrists or something? Or repent. I'd prefer to see you repent and just do right now that you know that you're evil. Okay? That would be the best thing to do. It's really sad, some of the things that you're doing to these children, causing autism, ADHD, ADD. You really hurt this world. So I don't know who your God is. Actually, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. I'm just gonna say it. I've met him. I know you guys are rogue. You even turned on your own pinnacle point, your own fulcrum. You turned on it, went your own way. Greed, that was the way you chose. Diverse lusts, that's what you chose. All of those sins. But do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Isn't that what you believe? Getting into old Alistair and all those guys. Used poor guys like Manly P. Hall, then killed him. How about Charlie Kirk? Yeah. You better pray a guy like me doesn't become president. You're not going to like the results. Unless you repent. Then you might love him. You might be like, you know what, that Ed guy? That shirtless guy that you were all attracted to and stuff? He's actually a good guy. He actually cares. He's trying his best to be the best that he can be in his Jesus avatar that he walks the face of the earth in, as he tries his best to activate his endocrine system and his Christ consciousness. Did you see the way I threw all that in there? Because you need to know. What's the plan in Revelations there? Light the world on fire? How would you light the world on fire, guys? I know I butchered the way I said that a little bit, but you know what I mean. How would you do it? I already know. You're evil. That's it. You're evil. And I don't care about your daddy's daddy, grandpa, Billy Bob, whatever. I don't care. A lot of those guys didn't know what was going on either. I will say this. There was probably a point in history where some of those guys that didn't know were really, really trying very hard to be the best men that they could be. I have to believe that. I have to believe it. Because it took you guys so long to incrementally sabotage everything. It was a slow poisoning is what it was. It was a slow poisoning. Like England, it didn't stand a chance. Those guys just tried to Brexit. They still don't know. These guys just celebrated 250 years of fake independence. Yeah. And I've noticed all of your emblems behind Russia, Libya, and I started looking at all the connections everywhere. And I started to realize you turned families against families, brothers against brothers. You sabotage nations. It wasn't all bad. Because back, way, way back, if you remember, when we were slaves and we built all those pyramids and mined all those riches at Egypt, Kemet, Sumer, and all of those before that. Once again, there's so many. There was a lot, okay? We mined all that. And mined so long, actually, that a lot of people evolved lighter skinned. Even lighter and lighter and lighter. Yeah. And more-ish. Ish. Where'd that come from, guys? More-ish. Ish. They weren't Moors, but they were more-ish. Kind of like the Irish, the Scottish, English, ish. Very significant. 3 letters there. that ancient slavery created entire races, also decimated entire races, and other humans as well that were a little different. Okay, so when those Muslims come up there and they start talking all that shit, oh, you came out of the Caucasus Mountains and you couldn't wipe your ass and you couldn't do this. They're talking about white people. Okay, is what they're talking about, because there's a difference between you fake ones and the real ones. Okay, and the Moorish helped them get free. Okay, and basically the story goes from there. All right. So when they had no choice but to come out of those mountains, they'd been hiding in there, and luckily superstition kept a lot of people out of the mountains. So that was a good thing for them, and us. You know what I mean? And so we haven't been free very long at all, actually. Think about that for a minute. And here you guys are, sabotaging everything again, hurting everyone. And you had the power, you had the ability to uplift mankind, even through the programming. You could have easily done it. Easily. But you chose to sabotage again. You chose to hurt people because you wanted to rule over them or have money. Once again, it's not always necessarily about ruling over them. It's about being in a class to where they need you, okay? And they build a dependency on you. So the more you make them dependent upon something, the more down the road you can snatch that out from under them. And after a few generations, kind of like that old Indian story about the boat builder. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but they used their boats to go to the other side where it was more fertile. And it was so fertile that they flourished. 10 years went by, 20 years went by. People were dying. A lot of the boat builders were dying. They were older people. 30 years goes by. Before you know it, the entire generation of boat builders is gone. They were starting to deplete the resources over there 50, 60 years in. And then they were like, wow. Hey, look across the river. Look across the ocean there. The little ocean we got here, the sea. It's flourishing. How are we going to get back? But you knew that. So, that's why I'm a little sour. That's why I'm upset. I know what happened in Vietnam, and every war, McNamara 100,000. They want to open a draft again right now. You're not getting my kid. No, it ain't happening. Won't be happening. Won't be signing up. I won't be signing up. Okay? Now that may be self-sabotage. But I didn't say we were going to just lay down, didn't I? Did I? Did I? I think you're very sick. Like I said, I see what you guys are doing in there. Twisting these poor children up who follow you when you're supposed to be making leaders of everyone so that we have a great society and a great world, and it gets better and better and better as time goes. But you didn't want that because you can't take advantage of little girls, get them all drunked up, drugged up, pimp them out. I mean, that's what trafficking is, isn't it? Like I said, a lot of you guys are just really sick and you're really carnal. And if you're not, well, all I can say to that is, that's great. That's great. Don't be like that. Prove me wrong. I want to be wrong. You must not understand. I'm not on here for fun. Nobody wants to say things like this. Nobody wants to know things like this. But I had to. And God wanted me to. The real God, not your pussy ass shit. Good God. Like I said, you guys still have the ability right now to say, you know what? I didn't know all that. I didn't know that, Ed. And I'm going to do my best to try to fix whatever happened. Yeah, because they got you guys. You're the real sucker, okay? Even if you guys end up a part of what they're getting ready to do in their book of Revelations, even if you win, you're still the loser. Because guess what? I know, and I am. And even if you took me out, millions know now, and millions more will know soon. You're not going to stop this. It's very aggravating to know what you've done. It's really hard. It's very depressing. It's very depressing. It really is. It's very depressing. Because it would have been cool to have had something like that to be a part of. But then when I found out about all of it, all the history, all of it, who was behind everything, everything that's evil can be attributed in one way or another back to you guys. And the world is waking up very fast to all of it. So I could go on, but once again, it's been a long day. And hey, maybe tomorrow, maybe I'll come out and I'll do another video in my shirt to give you something to think about later, all right? Maybe you can go out there and, no, I better not. Better not. You might go ahead and take that out on a kid or something. You know what I mean? You damn perverts. So, once again, once you know, you know. Okay? So, I got to go. Okay? Have a good day, guys. Oh, feel free to comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I was going to say, because you know I'm right. 100.